There's no lawnmower in James's backyard right now. Trust me, folks. We're going to actually let him play mute on this whole show. James, how you doing? That's awesome. This is the best prediction show we've ever had. I might get 11 games this go around. I'm down 4. I need to come back quickly. And you know what we're doing here. It's time for Lightning Predictions. Okay, James, let's test it. Can we actually hear you this time?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and the lawnmower. But it doesn't matter because when William tells Overture is playing, it doesn't matter. But before we jump into predictions, and oh my goodness, rivalry this, rivalry that, it's like, holy cow, I can't even say the word normally, and yet I have to say 18 different times this week. I want to say one thing. Some people might be surprised I picked the Secretary's Cup game as my game to watch on the ATN podcast today. Here's the logic here. There was a pretty long article on the Dutchman Shoes game on D3FB.com already this week. And I've also picked 2 straight Union games in the games to watch. So while I wanted to pick RPI at Union, I couldn't really do that in good conscience and for the look of what we try to do on D3Football.com. Also, the Secretary's Cup game with Coach George just joining us made some sense too. So nothing against Union and RPI on game to watch there. I thought the guys on ATN would pick more rivalry-based games than, let's say, playoff-based games this week. They went more for the playoff situation, it seems like.
Well, I'll have to give birthday boy Keith McMillan some credit. Happy belated birthday. He's 43, a little youngin'. But he did actually throw out the Cranberry Bowl, which is kind of a little bit off the beaten path as their little segment. It's not going to necessarily put either one of those teams in a New England Bowl situation, although I guess it might potentially. I really think from the CCC perspective, we have this kind of elimination game between Nichols and Endicott for that. And it'll be interesting to see if there's 3 New England Bowls, maybe 2. We got the ECAC Bowls coming up on Monday around noontime. So we'll be announcing those after, we see sort of the results of this weekend. And, the other thing too is like ATN mentioned, the whole Oshkosh Whitewater game could have a huge impact on whether or not Salisbury ends up in a 1 seed or a 2 seed situation. I could see an argument being made either way. But lots of rivalry games, like you said. There seems like a cup on the line for every, Keystone, Secretaries, the Shoes. It's got all sorts of trophy games going on.
Yeah, one thing, the prediction that D3Football.com put up yesterday, basically, if I'm reading it correctly, put Salisbury into a 1 seed. And I really don't agree with it. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't think the committee is going to do that. While I would like to see it, don't get me wrong. To me, Salisbury's a 2 seed and Muhlenberg's probably the 1 seed at the end of the weekend.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, so what I saw there didn't necessarily match, I think, what common logic is or should be on this whole thing. We'll see how it pans out. Last thing we want to talk about before we jump into predictions, my goodness, last night on Thursday Night Football, I wasn't even really watching the game. I look up with 8 seconds left, and I'm doing play-by-play to the bar that I was in because I'd grabbed a late dinner, and I'm like, yeah, and it's about to get worse on the replay because of the helmet over the head of Mason Rudolph. What's your take on what happened there, what the response of the NFL should be?
Yeah, not to sound like Ron Jeremy, but boy, did that escalate quickly. And apparently this isn't the first time that Garrett has gotten in trouble for, ripping somebody's helmet off. He didn't try to hammer it across the former player's head like he did with Rudolph. But, I mean, in this day and age with all the lip service that the NFL pays to, player safety and this and that, concussions, you have to think that Garrett's done for the season, if not maybe even a full, 16-game suspension, which could go into the middle of next year. I feel like Rudolph is probably implicated in something. He might be fined, at least some of the offensive linemen who, to their credit, you go to bat to protect your quarterback. Those guys are probably get fined, maybe see a game or two suspension here and there, but just an ugly overall kind of event for the NFL, especially on a national stage. But hey, that's why I like covering Division III football. We have some of our own little controversies and challenges here and there, but I haven't seen anything like that happen in the game.
I think it's time.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Predictions. We got 11 of them. First, Endicott at Nichols. This game basically is a New England Bowl possibility for both teams?
Well, it's kind of an elimination game for one of them. Whoever wins it's probably getting the CCC bid. Whoever loses probably is going home for the holidays. Am I picking first?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. All right. I will take the Gulls to outlast the Bison, which I think will be a pretty high-powered offensive game, kind of like what we saw with Nichols dropping 56. I do think, though, the Gulls' defense is strong enough to keep the Bison at bay, but this is going to be a shootout. I'll take the Gulls to win it 42-35.
I think Nichols is an improved team from what we saw last year and is outperforming people's expectations. So I think in the first half it's going to be a close game, and then finally the Endicott pulls away. Oh, wait. I'm using my script from about 6 weeks ago. Sorry. In reality, Nichols is not, or Endicott is not Curry. That's who Nichols put 56 up against last week. Their defense is a lot better, I think, than Curry's right now. And so I think it's going to be Endicott winning this game 43-24. Let's go to the battle for 4 and 6. ECFC. Mount St. Joseph at SUNY Maritime. For those that don't know, Mount St. Joseph actually had playoff aspirations this year. The legitimate way, I shouldn't say the legitimate way. That's bad or bold of me to go there, but let's say the more conventional way of having a really good winning record ultimately. What's happened in the ECFC is going to be examined, I think, in the offseason, no doubt. This is a problem, okay? You only had 5 teams that were eligible. You had a team that's 4 and 6 potentially, unless there's a shock in the final score this weekend. And hey, at SUNY Maritime, you need to figure out a way to beat Mount Union probably. So here's your first start with Mount St. Joseph. Just climb one mount to get to the next. And that's probably not going to happen. Mount St. Joseph is a very good team and will win this game, I think, by a score of 47-20.
Yeah, I'll take Mount St. Joe's, say 35-14.
Simply said. MASCAC. Let's get the Cranberry Bowl. Bridgewater State at Mass Maritime.
Yep. 41st. The 41st annual Cranberry Bowl. Well, this is going to come down to whether or not the Bears can kind of turn things around after a tough loss to the Rams in sort of the de facto title game. But boy, was it Matt Long, the quarterback of the Bucs, have been running all over the place. It's a home game for the Buccaneers there in Buzzards Bay. So I think I'm going to go with the Bucs.
What you got? Oh my goodness! You really
go Bucs.
Went off screen for that. Hold on a second.
35-31. Going to be a close game, but Buccaneers prevail on a long touchdown run by Long. How about that?
A long by Long?
This is the quality content people come here for, Frank. What can I say?
These people need hobbies. Bridgewater State. Bridgewater State wins this game. I think they're going to bounce back from the Framingham State game last week, although I agree with you that Mass Maritime looked good against Mass Dartmouth last week. Remember, Gaychuk was not playing again in that game. Bridgewater State wins this 36-14. I'm not a believer in their offense right now. Mass Maritime, they've got a very good defense. I agree, but eventually this game becomes a little bit lopsided. NUMAC. Oh, wait, we lost the music. MIT at Springfield. Perhaps I should spell NUMAC correctly, too.
There you go.
Well, What the hell is that? I gotta look. What did I do there? The new Nancy, apparently. Okay, this me. You know what? Beating the Pride at home with Brotherhood Day, Week 11. I gotta give this to Springfield. I know Coach Cirizzulo's like, no, don't do it. Frank, don't do it. Yeah, the kiss of death. Springfield wins this game. Chad Shade and company opened up for a multiple touchdown performance again across the board. 40-30.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, though. I feel like it's getting cold up in New England. No snow. That'll be safe for the teams in upstate New York and Ohio. But I feel like this colder weather, the defense is going to play a factor. Nick Boehner and company are going to go out with a win in their last game, create some havoc. They've been on a roll. So I will take the Pride to win a low-scoring 21-17 game.
Interesting. Very interesting. Let's go to the shoes. As I lose my earpiece and we have no spot for that, there we go. The shoes. I think you start this one, and I'm glad you start this one.
Yeah, this is going to be which RPI team are we getting? Are we going to get the one that just drubbed Ithaca, or are we going to get the team that was basically blown out by Hobart and St. Lawrence? So, it's fun to play spoiler. Union's already locked their deal in for the playoffs. But, man, I just feel like for some reason that this is the Dutchman's year. They just it'll probably be like what it was last week against Utica, low-scoring game. They're going to probably need Halpin to kick a couple field goals. But I think the Dutchmen are going to hang on and win a real close one, 17-14. You wanted me to pick RPI, or do you want to take a mulligan on this one? You can't really. I don't think you can catch me in the ranking, so you might as well just go with your team, man. I don't think so.
It's 4 games.
4 games lead.
Don't screw up 4 times. It's Baker's Law. Come on.
That's true. Okay, here we go.
Logic says that RPI after the Ithaca game definitely has the gunpowder to do what they need to do in Schenectady this week. By the way, we're going in honor of the Cranberry Bowl. You hear that?
Nice.
Thanks. We're probably going to get copyright dinged for doing this, but
there you go. Well, you're a lawyer.
Anyway, if we talk over it enough, Facebook will never know the difference. I would say that Union wins, though. I think if this game were played last week, RPI would have won it, to be honest with you, because I think Union needed a wake-up call against Utica and RPI. I think, had the guns ablazing in that game. It kind of was their Super Bowl last week of sorts. Now, the Shoes game is big for both teams. So I think Union returns to form here, wins at 21-14, but it's going to be a really, really good, close game. And this, by the way, the Cranberries brutally underrated, I think, to this day. Yeah, absolutely was. What is with this today? It's a technical difficulty hour. Cortland versus Ithaca. Cortica.
We're just going to limp over the end line here. This is it.
Wait, I go first? Sorry. It's in my head. Definitely it is in my head, this game. Cortland, Ithaca.
Something's in somebody's head in this game, I think. We'll see.
I really think Wahinabe should be starting this game if Ithaca wants to give themselves a shot in the arm. For all the naysayers out there that want to suggest that Nabi is not the better quarterbacks, I mean, stats will tell you some interesting things about the comparisons. Maybe Germinario is the better of the two quarterbacks in terms of numbers and ability, but there's a problem here in that for 2 weeks, he's really stalled out. And he did throw the initial interception that let it become a 14-0 game and couldn't drive that team back last week against RPI. Brett Zagala and his team had a crappy game against Hartwick last week. That's the other problem here, though. And so this is going to be the battle of attrition in my mind. But that's where a guy like Nabi comes in. His team would rally around him so much. They appreciate what he's done. We have spoken with people off the record in terms of, I'm not going to name names here, at Ithaca. And the common logic throughout is they can't believe that Nabi gave up a year of eligibility for this situation. And they appreciate him for doing it because what if something didn't work out with Germinario? He was there for them, ultimately.
Yep.
So, to me, that would be a better choice to start right now. Cortland wins this game because they're probably not going to do that 28-24.
Yeah, I've been struggling with this one because I feel like from what I've seen with Cortland, their defense can struggle. But then when you look at the stats against Hartwick, they ran the ball for like 240-something yards. Like they can crank off big plays. I just don't know if the Dragons' defense has what it takes. But then we've seen also Joe Germinario in big games, and this is the biggest game in D3 history, getting his head a little bit.
Don't mind my phone over here. Sorry about that. But so what's your final?
I feel like Ithaca's got it the last couple of years. Cortland, this is a tough call, Frank. I think I'm going to go with the Bombers, but I do feel like that Cortland can do it. I don't know, man. It's going to
score.
It's going to be a turnover heavy game. Say 28-27.
Oh, sorry. You gave a score.
Yeah.
Kane and Montclair, because we got to pick a Montclair game, right? No matter what. I'm 1-4, baby. I'm 1-4 on Montclair games this season.
And I just had to mess with you with this one because Kane looks so good against Wesley, so anything's possible.
So what's the call? You go first.
I think the Red Hawks are going to try and finish strong. They're at home, senior day. Kane, pretty much I think they gave it their all against Wesley. They might be a little down for this one on the road, so I will take the Red Hawks. Still a close one, but they'll pull away late and win it 24-14. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
2-6 sounds better than 1-5, Frank.
Kane. 21-17. Kane wins it.
Nice.
It's a no-lose pick in some ways right now. You're welcome, Plaza.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
The Keystone Cup.
Oh, the Keystone Cup. Yeah, we got to pick some more games here. Widener at Delaware Valley.
Does Del Val sit all their starters and just coast into the tournament, or do they drop the hammer on the Pride?
Del Val wins it 47-17. I can't come up with a reason to go the other way on this.
Yeah, the Pride have been a little too inconsistent this season, so I'm with you on that one. I think that Del Val will take their foot off the gas in the second half, but they'll win 35-21.
Bonus numero uno. Merchant Marine Academy at Coast Guard Academy. Secretary's Cup, JB.
Well, your preview on ATN sort of might have tipped the scales on this one for me here because apparently this game is hard to win in consecutive years, and the Coast Guard have not done it in about a decade.
Let me correct you. Merchant Marine has done it in multiple consecutive times. Basically, it's like 5-1, 5-1. That's been going, or 4-1 and 4-1. It's kind of interesting. I didn't realize it was this lopsided over the last 20 years until I dove into the numbers there.
Yeah, and maybe I shouldn't believe him, but Coach George was talking a little bit about the injuries on his lines, and Merchant Marine is just they've looked good in these last couple of weeks. So. I lost my last college and high school games. Most people lose their last game of their career, whether they like it or not. That's not how I want Coach George to go out, but I just feel if I have to be an objective analyst, picker guy, I think the Mariners are healthier. Their offense is a little more diverse, and so they'll hang in. It'll be a close fought one, but I'll take the Merchant Marine and say 35-28.
Ryan Jones doesn't have a mug to drink from, but by the end of Saturday, he'll have a cup to drink from again.
There you go. Okay.
I think that Coast Guard at home is going to be very, very tough to beat with the emotion that's coming down in this game now. Coach George is a much beloved character. He can be very stoic, and you could see that in our own interview with him. But he is beloved, and that's a huge thing. Coast Guard wins this game 30-24. Let's go to another bonus while we're here, and while we're kind of in the new MAC, we might as well continue the new MAC theme here. WPI at Norwich, another military team, obviously, but this has implications because if Springfield wins, then WPI could still win the conference or hand it over to Springfield, depending on the result of this game. I think WPI wins it. But it's going to be a challenging game up in Norwich with the weather supposed to be cold again in the 30s in Vermont, and maybe worse because Vermont just gets colder generally than, let's say, New York does at the same latitude. So I'm going to say WPI, though, wins a low-scoring affair 10-7.
Well, yeah, I think WPI really exploded offensively last week. Norwich has been a bit hot and cold here and there, so I do think the Engineers in the cold will probably lean on Connor Field and Sean McGowan running the ball a lot, keeping Matt Dunn off the field and controlling the clock. A lot of people like to make fun of time of possession types of commentary, but at the end of the day, it is a real thing. So anyway, WPI wins this one 34-20. And I think based on my other pick, I guess the Engineers are going to the NCAA tournament.
Which Engineers?
The WPI Engineers.
Good try. Good try to sneak that one through. Bonus number 3, let's go national. Because this game is the final game of the season. It's starting at 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time and could have the most implications of any game this weekend. Whitewater, if they lose, will be in through Pool C. They will not be picked, okay? Oshkosh needs to win to be able to get into the playoffs, period. They won't get a Pool C bid. So if Whitewater wins, somebody's off the bubble. It's burst for somebody. If Oshkosh wins, if Whitewater loses, if Oshkosh loses, then a team like Cortland's got to look at the rest of the carnage out there, assuming that Cortland stands at 9-1 at the end of the season here with a mediocre profile. Yeah. JB, you're first.
Oh boy, I'm trying to quickly pull up the conference standings, and so you basically have a undefeated leader of the clubhouse against an Oshkosh team which has won their last 2 games. And the guy starts blasting the new thing.
Go ahead.
But let's see, there's Platteville. I'm looking for some correlation. Of course, Platteville only lost to Whitewater by a touch. I'm going to go with Whitewater, but it's going to be a close game. So I'll take the Warhawks 24-20.
It's going to be cold up there. It's going to be a tough game to play at 7 o'clock.
Snowing already up there for sure.
Remember that game between Mount Union and Oshkosh in that really, really cold Saturday playoff scenario that They came back. How many
came
points
down
down?
Like a field goal or something, right?
Yeah, but they were down like 28 points and came back in that game. Union did.
They did, yep.
And so Whitewater has the ability to make something like that happen. I think Oshkosh goes up early, but Whitewater comes back to win it. A little bit lower scoring, though, 24-21 in favor of Whitewater, which was that similar to your score, actually? So anyway.
Yeah.
That is it for Lightning predictions. We'll figure out what we're going to do for the playoffs. We'll probably come back and pick our brackets or our teams or games involving East teams next week. Well, again, just to keep you up to date here, Sunday we should be actually doing two things now. We've kind of put another plan in the bag here. We're going to have Jim Catanzaro, the selection committee chair, joining us. Right after the 5:30 show is done on ncaa.com, we will put on that interview. Then also after that, we're going to put onto Twitter, and as a Twitter exclusive, a quick discussion with Tracy King on who the New York Bowl teams are. We'll do a reveal of those teams probably around 6:30 Eastern time on Sunday. On Monday at noontime, you said it, the ECAC show, where we will reveal for the first time we believe 4 ECAC bowl games. That's not official, but we believe from what the indication was recently to us that they will go to 4. And then we'll have some playoff preview stuff, including our host chat show next week around midweek. So there's a lot coming up here on In the Huddle. Stay tuned. D3Football.com's got a lot as well. Playoff geared, no doubt. Until next time, folks, enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there and enjoy the winter weather wherever it hits you. It's going to hit me pretty hard tomorrow when I'm out reffing in it in New Jersey, but not at Cortica. I will be at Belleville High School down the street patch, and it will be cold for 8 hours of reffing. Wish me well. Goodbye, folks. JB, have a good one.
Hopefully everyone behaves themselves.